Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Recruitment Uncensored with me and my crazy hair. My hair is absolutely fucking mental today. So apologies for that. But you know me, I'm your host, Kate. I've got another amazing guest on with me today, and yet again, nearly forgot to go live because we were chatting so much in the green room. We literally had 15 seconds when I realised that we needed to go live. So I've got Gemma Down and Matt on with me, who's co-founder of Mixos. I don't normally do this, but I think it's worth doing because it's going to sort of feed into the questions we're going to go over in your answers today. Could you just give the audience, before we get stuck in, a bit of an overview of like Mixos, what Mixos do, sort of thing?
Yeah, of course. So Mixos are 6 years old now. I've been in business with Chris, the co-founder, for 4 years. So we joined forces 4 years ago. We've scaled the business. We've had a real aggressive growth, actually. We've gone from 200K to 3 million, from just the two of us to 15 of us in such a short space of time. And with that, obviously, it's like hold on to your hats, but there are still like some key fundamentals that we've never stepped away from. And that is really maintaining our high standards, ensuring that we continue to create a culture, which is one of the hardest things to do as you grow. And yeah, not diluting our service and what we stand for. So we're on a mission, but as you know, when you get to this sort of stage in any business, it's even harder to just ensure that all of the right people are in the right seats and you're kind of moving along together. And
Yeah.
somebody said this to me at the REC Live conference recently, is that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, you've got to go together. And that's why it's ultra important for us as a business and as a team to just pull in close and just make sure that we're all rowing in the same direction.
Cool. Yeah, no, and I think that's going to flow through in your answers to the questions that I
Hmm.
give today. But as usual, this is live and interactive. So any of you watching, if you have a question for Gemma, or if you want to just have some input in something we're talking about, maybe you don't like something we're talking about, whatever, chuck it in the comment.
Be
Um,
nice.
I'll bring up as much as I can. And anything we don't get a chance to cover off, we would come back to it in the comments after the show anyway, so don't worry about that. Okay, let's get stuck into it then. So for you, why does discipline and consistency trump that talent piece?
But I think a good place to start would be there's no barrier to entry in recruitment, right? And I'm really proud of choosing the recruitment industry, and I want my people to be proud, and I want everyone listening to this to be proud as well. I think we're very
Mm,
good at talking ourselves down. And actually, it starts with us. We all talk about how the industry is battered and bashed, and people don't think very highly of us, but it starts with us. So from where I'm sitting, it's just important to embrace that. And I always talk about being an 8 out of 10, and recruitment is high performance, just like being an athlete is high performance. Now, if you were to sit down and go through sports psychology, the aim is never to be a 10-10. It's not sustainable. It's not realistic. I come from performing arts background. It was never the expectation for me to be a 10-10 every single day, because at some point you're going to break and you're going to burn
yeah.
out. And I think that is exactly the same in recruitment. And we've got an incredible team here. You'll be pleased to know, Kate, mostly rookies. I think we've got 90% rookie rate in here. Obviously myself, Chris, co-owner, and then Debbie, our ops director, Unreal. And between us, we've got stacks of experience. But that aside, most of our team have come in from grassroots. We've molded them and shaped them into what we think the recruitment industry is crying out for. So this mantra that has stayed with me for the duration of my life is this 8 out of 10. And the expectation is there for our team. We do have super high standards, but with that, I mean it. So when we sit in our SLT meetings, when we sit in our one-to-ones, we grade ourselves. The team grade themselves out of 10 on their set KPIs and the things that they're measured against, including performance, including energy levels and things like that. Because you
Mm,
can't be a 10-10 one day and then a 4-10 the next, because that is an absolute car crash, and that you get this effect, which is quite notorious in
yeah.
our industry
You
as
see it a
well.
lot, don't you?
You get it massively. So just, yeah, when we're in high performance, it's just ensuring that we have that element of self-reflection to sit back and think, you know what, I have had a bit of a tough day, but I brought it. I still showed up. I still brought my 8 out of 10. Control the controllables. Anything else out of your control, you can't ask for more than yourself if you've maintained that kind of level of standards, service, energy, and all the rest of it. So it's just about being consistent. That is the key word. And I think in every aspect of my
Yeah.
life, whether it's being a parent, being in the gym, what we were talking about earlier, my younger life in performing arts and in business, is just being consistent, because it's doing those small, consistent things every day that will move the dial. And I think if you take the attitude that, oh, no one's watching, I can just miss that for today, whether it's your hour of sales in the morning, whether it's calling a candidate with news on a Friday, you know, I'll leave that till Monday. I don't want to give them bad news. But actually, to you, that's just one call of bad news. But to the candidate, it's their livelihood and it means everything.
Yeah.
So it's just ensuring that you do those uncomfortable things, you do the things that you know you need to do every single day that are going to get you one step closer to your results that you're aiming for, really.
Yeah. Do you know what? You just reminded me. I didn't even say the bloody title at the start. We're here today to talk about the power of being an 8 out of 10, showing up, standing out and scaling. Totally forgot about that. But I think consistency is one of the key. I think there's two things for me that when I see those top performers, and I'm not going to give it the top biller name because they're not always the top biller in the office,
Hmm.
but they are top performer.
Yep.
There's two things that they have every
Hmm.
time. One is resilience, and that is
Yep.
built up. You don't come in. You have a level of resilience. I see in rookies they are resilient from other experiences, but that resilience in recruitment, you obviously build that through different
Hmm.
experiences. But the consistency is one of them. Like you said, they
Yeah.
don't skip things ever. They do
Yep.
the same thing, not the same thing every day, but do you know what I mean? They've got routines,
Hmm.
processes, they follow it. There's no, I won't bother doing that today.
Yeah, our whole
Ever.
business has been built on processes. We blueprinted every single step. So Chris and I, back in our heyday, were, you know, top of our game in recruitment, in temp, in perm, in then operational management, operational directorship. So we were like, look, it's great. We have these expectations up here, right? But how do people that we're bringing in understand that? It's in our head. So we need to therefore ensure
Yeah.
that we blueprint every step of the process. And that comes hand in hand with service. You know, the motivational piece isn't always going to be there. I would be fucking lying right now if I said to you, I wake up every day. People think that I'm some machine and like I just ooze motivation. I don't. I wake up with a discipline to know that if I do X, Y, and Z, the results will follow. And that goes for, you know, I'm back on the tools doing BD. We've had aggressive growth. We have got some incredible relationships, long-standing relationships that are locked in tightly. But I'm not afraid to pick up the phone. You know, I've been out door knocking, Chris has been out door knocking, and it's like knowing that that is a part of the process. How do you make
Mm,
yourself known to people unless you do that? So it's
yeah.
just ensuring that we don't all wake up motivated, but you need to dig deep and have that discipline. And like you see, when you hit a brick wall, and most people that at that point they turn back. I think at Mixos, whether it's our delivery team working on a really, really niche specific role that probably, you know, the company hasn't had much success with, maybe in other recruitment agencies, how to dig at it. Like for us, it's like, don't turn back. You've hit the brick wall. Even if you have to knock down brick by brick and it takes you longer to get there, don't give up, because that is the point where most people would just turn back.
Oh yeah.
Um, so
100%.
it's like that showing up when nobody's watching. And I think that is the difference between mediocre and people that are sort of flying, which, you know, it's not that hard this day and age. I think a lot of people settle for mediocre, and it's a very unpopular thing for me to say right now, but you know, the standard out there
No, I
is
agree.
dire. I'm
Totally
not just
agree.
talking about recruitment, I'm talking about just life in general. People are just quite
Yeah.
happy with being just okay and just standard and mediocre.
Yeah. Not me. Doesn't sound like that's you either. 100% not.
Absolutely not.
Oh, thanks, Dominic. So I'm here for Kate's expressive listening face. Right. So for anyone that watches quite regularly, when I'm listening to somebody intently, I look like I've got a resting bitch face. That is just my natural face. I can't help it. But I am actually listening and enjoying what somebody says. It's become a bit of a running joke now, but I
It's
will
a
try
it's
my
a good
best.
job I've got thick skin, isn't it, Kate? I've got the thickest skin you would ever imagine.
But
And we got on here. I'm
in my
just
mind,
mesmerized by your
I look like
curls.
I'm like, but I'm just expressionless. But
The good thing
it's
is
just weird.
we've
I just
already
can't
met
help it.
before. I
Huh?
know what I'm getting with. I said the good thing is we've met before, so I know what I'm getting with you. So don't
Yeah.
worry, I'm not easily offended.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really conscious of it now, so I'm going to be like doing something different. Right. I know you've got some really punchy and important points on this one, and you sort of
Mm.
alluded to some of them in the green room, and I'm 100% on board with them. So I'm keen to cover this off. What for you are the non-negotiables that separate top talent?
Look, I've just touched upon people being average, right? And I think that our nation is obsessed with being average. I am obsessed. Chris is obsessed, and our core team at Mixos are obsessed with being 1% better. And that's all it takes. You just need to dig deep and be that 1% better. I think you'll
Hmm.
instantly be ahead of the average person. I don't think it's about talent. I don't think it's about skill. I don't think it's about qualification. It's about having those behaviorals, those values that are instilled in you from young, and having that trigger to say, do you know what? This has happened. Did I deal with it in the right way? And what are the repercussions? Does it, am I standing true to myself? Do I align with me? So, with that said, I'd say number one is do what you say you're going to do. We are massive on that. And, you know, we have a positioning statement at Mixos, which is the Mixos way. Call it corny, cheesy, call it what the fuck you want. But actually, it's the one thing that we need to say that makes everyone stand up and be counted and think, did I do right by myself? Did I do right by Mixos? Is that how we do things here? And that doesn't
Hmm.
mean slapping over a CV. That doesn't mean, as I said earlier, leaving feedback till the following week. That doesn't mean skipping a prep call before the candidates go for their interview because we can't fit it in. It
They'll
means
be
doing
fine.
every single thing by the book because you know what the outcome
Hmm.
is going to be, right? So doing what you say you're going to do, and also that goes for sales. You know, we are in an industry where you do need to develop business. Yeah, maybe not just by phone bashing. There are so many other ways to develop business this day and age,
So many
but
ways.
it's just ensuring that you stick to those core fundamentals. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And if you can't do it and it's not realistic, don't say you're going to do it because it's just
Yeah,
something
and be honest.
yeah. Imagine saying to your client, I'm going to send over a proposal by X date, and you don't. Guess who's not getting that business?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Number two would be don't turn your back when you hit the brick wall. And if it takes you a little longer to get there, then so be it, because it will be worth it. And I think if everything was easy to have, then everyone would already have it. um,
Hmm.
being disciplined and consistent. So just making sure that the things that you do, whether it's fitness, whether it's building your family, whether it's building your desk or your business, ensuring that you're doing the right things when it matters most. And that is always when no one's watching. Who cares about having
Mm.
cheerleaders and being in the limelight and having your kind of back patted? Those things matter. Outside of that, um, feedback. We talk about it all day long here at Mixos. It's huge. And I do it in my personal life and I do it in the business. And Chris and I rolled it out from day one. You know, we are the biggest at sort of championing feedback. And if something doesn't go right, if we were to not win a contract, to lose a contract, a candidate didn't accept a role that was offered, counter offered, something happened in our family, you know, we'd always look at each other, look in the mirror and be like, what could we have done differently? We're not a finished article by no means, and neither are people, neither are candidates or clients. So there's always room um, for us to look at that and say, like, how could we have done better? And I think, you know what, in the recruitment industry, I think there's too much of this sort of close a laptop or don't answer the phone and run away. I met with someone
Mm.
recently that sort of said, my stomach flips and my heart drops when I see a client's call coming through after recently placed a candidate, because I think, shit, are they going to drop out of bed? And I'm like, really? I find that insane. I find that absolutely ludicrous, because firstly, that could be the biggest opportunity call coming through of your life.
Could be something
Secondly,
positive.
yeah, it could be something positive. Number two, if it isn't positive, why would you not go and front it and hit it head on? So what? We're
Solve
dealing
the
with
problem.
people. We're dealing with people. It's the only product in the world that can say no, that can turn their phone off, that can go AWOL and do all these crazy things that happen, right? But it's inevitable. Sometimes it isn't going to work out. Why would you not want to pick up that phone? Why would you not want to embed that relationship even further, understand the problem and put it right? So I think
Mm.
that's one thing that we do really well here is we don't run away from a problem. We actually run into it. with open arms, and it is brutal and it is painful and it sometimes takes some real level of self-reflection, but we've always got our teams back first and foremostly. And secondly, we'd be the first ones to say if we think we could have done something better, even from a management standpoint as well.
I think the key
Leadership.
there is that you've made it safe
Hmm.
to for any of your staff and for each other to
Yeah.
ultimately get things wrong. Like we none of us are perfect. Like or if the feedback's negative or whatever, it's okay. We can work together and we can get through this and we can improve
Hmm.
things. I think
Yeah.
sometimes people run away from it when they don't feel it's safe to, not all the time, but when they don't feel it's safe to potentially have a problem with a client, for example. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean? I
mean,
think
it's
that's down to your
confrontation as
culture.
well. People don't enjoy. I mean, if someone listening to this enjoys confrontation, then I'd like to meet you, because I mean, I don't think it's one of them things you don't naturally enjoy it, do you? It's quite uncomfortable.
Depends what type of confrontation it is. Sometimes I do.
You do, yeah. I can see you already. Put them up.
Yeah, like yeah.
Um, One of the things that we spoke about before, Kate, when we spoke back in January, was about service. And service is one of
Mm,
those things, right? You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can feel it, and you're only as
yeah,
good as the last person that you've touched. That sounds really crude, but the last person, candidate, client that you've done
yeah.
something for, whether that's a candidate you can't place and you've given them career advice, which, by the way, most of our Google reviews are placed candidates, but you get the odd one in there where they so, do you know what? Mixos didn't actually find me work, but how they dealt with me was amazing. So
Mm,
it's just ensuring that whether it's a candidate, client, someone you meet at a networking event, someone you interview for your business, an employee that perhaps didn't work out, it's just ensuring that they have had the best of you and have had the best experience with your company. Wherever you go, there's always service done good and service done bad. And more often than
yeah,
not, people will talk about the bad service and they will keyboard warrior it up. They will put bad reviews, they will maybe have something to say, complain, try and get something out of it. But people don't talk as much about the good stuff. So it's just to ensure that you are maintaining the highest levels of service all of the time, not just a one off. And
it's
sometimes
that
it's like, what,
consistency piece, isn't it?
yeah, it
Consistently good
does.
service.
It comes back to the consistency again. And actually, the larger you grow, the harder that is to keep tabs on, because there is a lot of transactional recruitment going on out there. Sadly, as we've come out of the pandemic, it seems to have enhanced with
Mm,
AI as competition, internal talent. It's become a race to the bottom and it's all transactional. It's CV. It's let me get to that job first. I'm up against 5 agencies. So one of the things that we do really well is our levels of exclusivity with business, which is quite unheard of in the niche that we're in, which is ironically fairly generalist. It's kind of your head office and commercial, and it's also your warehouse and industrial. But have you ever heard of the saying, date your clients? Because if you're not dating them, someone else will. It's like
mm,
when you first start dating someone, you don't take your eye off the ball, do you? When you're in that honeymoon period, that's how you should be with your clients all of the time. And if you haven't got capacity to do it, you need to shout out and say, I haven't. Can someone help me? And that's
yeah,
where we're really good as a team. I have to be honest, like, our team are incredible. There's no prima donnas. There's no, we've created the culture from the ground up. So there's none of this, if that's mine, back off, or I'm not helping you
yeah. I
because
hate
I've
that.
got a budget to hit. Like, the guys are insane at jumping on and supporting and backing each other where needs be. So testament to them, really. They've kind of maintained that, which is unreal. Um, this I talk about all day long, and my trust is out here. Like, as a leader, my trust is out here. If you cross me, obviously it's coming in, right? But failure isn't fatal, and I'm a massive advocate of failing, because the quicker, the harder you fail, the closer you're
Yeah,
going to get to where you want to be. And it takes that level of failure to
it's where
understand
you
how to
learn.
do it right next time. It's the only way to learn, and that's how I parent my child. Like, I'm not going to tell you not to do that because I know what the outcome is. I'm going to say to you, go and try it, and then tell me what happened. Feedback. What worked? What
Yeah,
didn't work? Would you do it again? And that's how we've kind of, myself, Chris, and Deb, that's how we lead the team here as well. Um,
yeah,
Two more points on this, because I know we need to get on. So, filling up your own cup first. We spoke about this today, didn't we? And you were saying
mm,
to me, Kate, how you're going to start getting hangry around this time, right? But if you
yeah,
know you've got back-to-back meetings, or if you know you're out on the road all day visiting customers, be kind to yourself. ensure that you set your diary up right. Don't be on a mission and leave yourself to a point of burnout. And that goes for everything. That goes for booking in holidays throughout the year. That goes for taking some breaks throughout the day. You know, I'm not the best role model in taking breaks because I do school runs and all
Yeah,
the rest of it. So I smash through.
this is something I find difficult at this point. I know that it's important, and
Hmm.
I'm great at helping other people fill their own cup when I go to my clients and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But clearly, like, well, you've seen it today. You know, I know what time I like to eat my lunch and what works for me, but does it mean that I
Yeah.
block out time for my lunch?
And it's
No.
not always the case, is it? We do actually we've actually got a breath work specialist who does some stuff with myself and Chris and started to do some stuff with some of our consultants. And it sounds cheesy, and people probably listening and thinking, God, you lot are into some voodoo stuff. But I can honestly, it changes the game. You would not believe the amount of stress and pressure, potentially anxiety, that some people carry without even being aware. And just
Mm,
by digging deep and looking into the way that you breathe and doing certain things, whether it's morning, whether it's evening, whether it's just taking a moment from your laptop. But you know, like, we all go through the day and things happen that weren't meant to happen. And there are
yeah.
things that you can control and there are things that you can't. So it's just having that level of um, kind of being in the know with, like, filling up your own cup, whether that is, for me, listen, I don't do ice baths and all of these crazy things out there, but I do get up at 5:30 because I know that if I do that and if I make time for the gym, everything else will follow nicely. And if I have a bad day, the next day I can draw a line under it, go to the gym, and I'm like a new person. But it's
Yeah.
like, do what works for you. My other half, Chris, he's not a morning person. He would much rather gym in the evening. When I get home, and my brain is fried and I'm overstimulated, the last thing I want to do is go in the gym. I just want to, and I've got 488 different chores to do, washing and all of that jazz. Like, the last thing I want to do is go gym. So it's like, figure out what works for you and
Yeah.
figure out what is supportive of your well-being, whether that is the gym, whether that is just taking short little breaks. And there's something to be said about hyper focus. And I think in recruitment, we can just plow through, and actually, a 55-minute on, 5-minute off is unbelievable for focus, because you're going to get 55 minutes of productivity and then you're going to catch 5 minutes of fresh air. Your brain just settles again, ready for you to go again. You know, for other people, it's like just taking a morning and an afternoon break, but like, whatever works well for you. And I say the same about this flexible working, like, work at home, work in the office, work where you work best, what works for you. Because I know for a fact, if we had a team of 15 all working from home majority of the time, do you think we'd be as successful as we are? No, because
Mhm.
everyone's learning from everyone else. And those are the conversations that just are invaluable, that you overhear, that you might support someone with. Like, you don't do that at home. So our industry does buck a trend a little bit compared to some, in that it's not always the best way forward. I think having a bit of a flex is really good for the team. Um,
Okay. I'm really sorry. I've got to move us on because
yeah,
we're running out of time. We've
let's
got
go.
just a few minutes for this one before we need to move on. So, but I think this is a really important one because I talk about this a lot as well. But it's
Mhm.
interesting to hear your take on this. What does it mean to be like where your clients are?
Okay, so in a nutshell, a lot of what we did in lockdown and coming out was very teams focused, and it was all about productivity, efficiency. We can get way more done. I don't believe in that. I think it serves a purpose, and there's a time and a place for that. But when it comes to locking in clients, one thing that we do really well here is that we have built a community and have been building it for 4 years now. And we have in excess of 350 local clients as part of our people and talent community that we've now uniformed and we've soft launched. Like, we make sure, and this goes for our delivery, our most junior people, pushing them outside of their comfort zones. You know, they come to events with us, awards nights,
Love
and they're
that.
rubbing shoulders with people. They are just people. Don't see them as, you know, the owner of the business or the operational director or anything like that. They are just people. And ultimately, the better you get to know them, the easier it is going to be to
Yeah.
hire for them. So it's just showing up where your people hang out. Make that your business. Understand where they go, what they do, what they enjoy to do. And then once you've mastered that, do it yourself. We're doing our own events. Listen, there's enough. I know there's people on here that potentially are seen as competition to us. But my view is this: there's enough business out there for everyone. And Chris
100%.
and I are all about collaboration. And I do feel as an industry, we're not quite there yet. There's
No.
um, too much of a competitive streak going on. Like, actually lean in. If there's someone doing something really good that you see, shout them out. If you're going to go out there and trial something that they're doing, why don't you ask for their help? Why don't you give them a little shout out? Like, you've inspired me. So my message to everyone here today is like, if you're not starting to build communities, do it. If you're doing it already, wicked. If you want some advice and support, call me, because we've been doing it now for 4 years, and I honestly can tell you it's the best way to lock in your client relationships. It's the complete polar opposite to transactional recruitment.
Yeah. It's so much more strategic. So I think that's really good.
Hmm.
Like you said, not enough people collaborate as well. So I think that's a really
Yeah.
important point. I'm going to come back to you because I know you've got a top tip,
Hmm.
which is big to share with the audience. I'm going to do a roundup of the next show. And yet again, I've surprised myself because I have been organised and I've got it written down. Whereas most shows, I'm like, oh, I don't know who's coming on and what date and what they're talking about. And I can't really tell you anything, but I can today. So I've got another amazing female guest coming on with me called Maria Murphy. She works for Smith Carey FMCG Recruitment and Training. And we're going to be talking, I'm really excited for this subject about, I've got to read it because I forget. We're going to talk about recruiting across generations, basically, and sort of tackling those stereotypes around like ageism, like misconceptions about Gen Z, Gen X, baby boomers, all those misconceptions. So I'm excited to talk about that because I see a lot of these assumptions made about certain groups that we've spoken about, and sometimes I see it differently. So I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation. That's going to be on the 23rd of July at 12:30. So 2 weeks from today, basically. So I'll post the event next week. But yeah, definitely come along for that one. Right, top tip. And we had a little chat about this, didn't we, in the green room?
We
Um,
did.
Talk to me about this one. Always sweat the small stuff because people tend to say it the other way around, don't they?
Yeah. It's really, really interesting. People do tend to say it the other way around. Sweat small stuff always. That will do, won't do. And it's again a mantra we have in here. If you think it will do, the chances are it won't, because you're just thinking like,
Mm,
let's just leave that there. Good has got to be great. In order for us to raise the bar in our industry and to continue to raise standards, that's where we need to sweat the small stuff. Those tiny little things that you'd think, oh, no one will notice that, whether it's a reformatting of a CV or a typo or a job that's advertised with a little typo. It could be anything that you think, oh, do you know what, we're just
yeah,
human. Yeah, it's all right to make, there is room for error, there's margin for that. But you know what, if you're not on it and all over it and you haven't got that ability to change it, that's where you're gonna, that is the difference between mediocre and those that are 1% better. It's
yeah.
like, just make sure that every finer detail is bang on, there's no stone left unturned. And that is my top tip.
Yeah. And I think as well, like you've got to think if you are paying that much attention to detail in your work, that filters out to your candidates and clients, and
Hmm.
they see you as somebody that's not going to miss a trick. You know, the
Hmm.
trust gets that it's a good impression from the start, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm somebody that
And
sweats the small stuff all the time, like all the time.
it's like, focus your energy in the right places, because you can have the amount of time on your hand to sweat the small stuff if you're staying in your lane. Don't be, don't listen to the noise outside, whether it's what your competition are doing, whether it's what your colleagues doing over here, whether it's, oh, well, that client has annoyed me because they said that they were going to give me interview dates on this day, and they like, just make sure that you are doing right by you and your candidate, and making sure that you're representing well, and make sure that if you received a piece of work on your desk, is it to the standard that you would expect?
Mm, yeah. High for me, standards and quality are
Hmm.
everything. Like in every like in not just work stuff, like everything all
Yeah.
the time. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. We're coming to the end now. Oh, thank you, Rebecca, and thank you for watching. Um, Anybody that's watched today, I would encourage you to connect with Gemma. Let me just take that off the screen so we're back there. LinkedIn's the best place. She's on as a guest on this event, so it's really easy to connect with her. if you've watched or you're watching it back, because you can stream this, and there's something you want to chat to about more, like say the community thing, drop you a DM on LinkedIn. Would you say that's the best bet?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, we're all on LinkedIn 24/7 these days, aren't we? So LinkedIn's the best way. If you want to watch this back, it's going to be on LinkedIn. It goes on YouTube. I'll be sharing the link again over the next day or two, sharing some clips from the show, so it'll be easy to access. But yeah, for anybody that has joined us live, thank you so much for coming on. Dom, for getting interactive and highlighting my face to everybody, my listening face. But no, I've loved this chat. Easily could chat for longer, but yeah, we've already hit the half-hour mark, so we're
I
done.
knew
But
we
thank you
would.
so much for coming on, Gemma, as well. I'll have to get you back on as well at some point.
Thanks, Kate.
Right. Yeah, that's us done. Everybody have an amazing day, and I will see you on the 23rd. I need to 26th, 23rd of July. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.